Well, folks, we have such a pleasure to bring you inside the Michigan State newsroom today, where we have another day to create magic with Bryan Rector, and today, special guest, the Olympian Heath Baldwin. Now, Heath, being a current grad student at Michigan State, working on finishing up a couple things, but has had a golden summer in a lot of ways. Now, that started with not only a trip to Eugene, Oregon, but a victory at the Olympic trials in the Decathlon. And then it continued on with a couple ceremonies, both here and at Hackett Catholic Prep in Kalamazoo, Michigan, with hometown folk. And then, folks, it was the pride and joy, the trip to Paris. Now, Heath, welcome in, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Now, talk to me a little bit. I know it's been a couple weeks since you've been back and starting to reintroduce yourself into life. But what have you been doing? What has life looked like since you've been back on U.S. soil?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And then, yeah, it really hasn't been much. Kind of just trying to relax after a long season. I started off pretty early with the NCAA indoor season starting in January. And I've pretty much been competing almost every other weekend since then. So it was almost like a 7-month, 8-month season for me. So I got a little worn down there at the end, but just trying to take a nice long break here and set myself up well so I'm fresh going into next season.
That's absolutely right. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I think for me, where I first kind of realized who you were and more so even what you were capable of was the trip to Eugene. So I was curious about that as we're getting into things is taking a break from, was it the indoor championship of the NCAA to then compete at Eugene?
Yeah, so I went from NCAA indoors, which was I think the first week of March, and then had a little break before my first decathlon. And I opened up at Mount Sac in California, and that was kind of a good indication of where I was going to be that outdoor season. I think I hit the Olympic standard there. So I kind of identified myself as a contender for the team there, I think in April, and had a couple meets throughout the course of the year, just competing in individual events like the Big Ten Championships, where I did high jump, hurdles, I think 4x4, long jump.
No doubt.
Just a bunch of different stuff. So I had a lot of meets to prepare in between indoors and trials that helped me out a bunch.
Certainly, certainly. And then too, you know, before we get into kind of the performance in Paris, I wanted to ask you, you know, I think the narrative has become that when an athlete comes back after training for as many years in a row to prepare for the Olympics, it can be difficult. There are ebbs and flows of emotions. For you, I was wondering, what has the process been of, you said taking a chill, but recovering and accepting what happened there before moving on and into the next chapter of whatever's to come?
Yeah, it's definitely been hard. It's definitely like a big high, and then you just kind of have nothing going on after. So, I mean, it was good for me that I had a lot of things to do after in terms of had to kind of like find a lease and where I was going to live and my plan for training this year. So I had to figure that all out within that week after the Olympics. So that kept me busy for a little bit. And ever since I get back, I've been able to spend time with family and go home and do some late days and whatnot. So I think that's kept my mind off stuff, and that's helped me relax a bit. But I feel like I have a lot of things planned here in the next couple months that I'm looking forward to, so I think that's helping out. And it also helps out that I'm younger. I know I'm only 23 years old. Hopefully got at least one or two Olympics in me. Compared to if I was like 30 years old and finishing up, I think that'd be a different feeling. So I feel just more excited than anything.
Absolutely, and I think too, you brought up such a unique point, is that you are on that front end of the window to be hitting these Olympic Games. So I wanted to know, Heath, as we're getting into it, is how was your experience? I mean, I know that the decathlon, as it is, one of the more grueling events that you can be a part of. You know, talk me through what it was like to train and compete, and then kind of have a little bit of free time while you were there in the Olympic Village.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like I was out there for a really long time. I left and went out to Germany, I think, like July 14th. And then I competed in a hurdle race and a couple other events there to help me prepare for the games and to help transition to the time change and everything over in Germany. So I trained there. I did training camp for about 10 days, and I went over to Paris for 2 weeks before. I just felt like I was there for a really long time, honestly. So I think next time I make a major championship meet, I'll probably only go like 2 weeks before. It kind of dragged on a bit, but I had a great time. It was a great experience. Obviously meeting a lot of people that I've seen as celebrities over the past couple of years. in every different sport, but I mean mainly track. Now I'm friends with a lot of the people I've been looking up to and following along since I was in high school and whatnot. So that's a pretty cool feeling to have. And then obviously just being in Paris, like one of the best cities in the world, and competing in the Olympics is a pretty insane thing to do. So I still feel like I'm wrapping my head around all that, but it's starting to hit me a little bit, I think, over the past 2 weeks.
Is there an event that you had that you're most proud of? I mean, for me, sitting here as an onlooker, I think I could point out the high jump, being that you had won it, and that you flew 2.17 meters, which for those of you doing the conversion out there, 7+ feet, 7 and 1.5 inches.
Yep.
Is that what you would say is the most proud, or was there another one that you enjoyed?
I would say probably the high jump at the Olympics. I mean, winning the high jump in the decathlon and big PR there, almost 7.2 after doing 3 events. I think that was definitely the highlight. It was pretty cool too. That was the only thing going on in the track. There's about 75,000 people down there cheering you on.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I mean, just a different adrenaline level, and I feel like I used that well, and that definitely helped out a lot. So couldn't have picked a better environment to jump in, and anytime you have a PR in the high jump, it's definitely a good day. I think that's one of the more fun events to do, and that's one of my better events that I've had since high school. So that was definitely, I think, the highlight of almost my track career so far in terms of open events.
And many more to come, I'm sure. You know, as I was watching that live, I couldn't help but think to myself, we might need to do a jump off between my man and Mondo Duplantis out of Sweden. But no, I think that's tremendous. You know, one of the things that you mentioned just previously, which I wanted to touch on, is how you got to meet idols and be a part of that prolific group. You know, one of the nearly 500 from America who were overrepresenting.
Yep.
Some of them that I noticed that stood out to me were Kevin Durant and Grant Holloway. Talk me through what that was to not only be a part of that, but if you have a story that you kind of look at as one of your favorites from meeting one of them, I would love if you could tell it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I have a specific story. I mean, during the opening ceremony, I met a couple of the basketball guys. I talked to KD for a couple of minutes. He was a really nice guy. But it was cool just being in the same like area as everybody, and everybody's just treated the same. Just elite athletes, I guess, all in the same area. So just try not to fanboy too hard. But yeah, they were all really nice, just normal guys. And then yeah, I got to meet Grant and obviously hung out with them a bunch since we were all on the same team and whatnot. That's a guy I've been looking up to for a while, and some of the 400 hurdlers and long jumpers and whatnot. Just all super nice people, you know. I feel like once you meet some of these people you've been looking up to for a while, a lot of them are just normal people, and I think that's encouraging, and it helps you know you can get on their level or past it, hopefully.
Well, you know, man, that's something that I resonate with, and I think your story strikes me because one of the things that I know to be true about you now, after following you for the last months, is that your support system is tremendous. And we talked about the amount of, whether it be, you know, events that were hosted in your name, whether it be at Michigan State or at Hackett. What has that support system meant to you, and how do you think in the future that will continue to propel you to new heights?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been blessed with having a great family, and obviously my whole community in Kalamazoo really supported me this year, as well as Michigan State. So that was huge for me. Just going into those big competitions and knowing that I have the support from a ton of people back home, a lot of eyes on me, I think that helped me out a lot. Gave me a lot of like extra adrenaline juice out there. But definitely having like a higher purpose when you're out there and all eyes are on you, just knowing that people are going to be there for you no matter what happens. That definitely helps out a lot. So yeah, I mean, it's great to have people that have my back, and I know that they're going to be with me no matter what.
And then being 23 years old, this last question may be something that is, you know, not top of mind for you, to say the least. But I did want to know is, do you have any advice for somebody who's coming in the pipeline behind you, who's looking to be in this position at 23?
Yeah, I would say kind of with anything in life, you just gotta have hard work, attention to detail, and just relentlessly pursue excellence. I think that's the name of the game. Back home we have a gym. My trainer back home talks about arete, which is the pursuit of excellence in everything you do. So that's where I try try to win the day, I guess, is just trying to win all the small things on a daily basis.
No
I think
doubt.
all those small things add up. So if you can execute those, there's no doubt you're going to do great things.
Well, folks, that's another day to create magic with Bryan Rector, and today we had Heath Baldwin in studio. Heath, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Have a great day, everybody.